Back to another episode of the Self-Development Tactics podcast. Today we once again talking about Stoicism and/or we're gonna watch a video about Stoicism and/or around Stoicism. In particular, Marcus Aurelius and how Marcus Aurelius keeps calm. Why is this important? Stress, maybe. We all having to deal with tons of stress, tons of inputs every single fucking day, whether it is just ads alone and or many more things. So it might be really useful and good for one if one is able to, well, calm oneself by probably reframing things and by probably thinking about things in a bit of a different way. So I'm looking forward to this one, not necessarily because I'm so stressed at the time, but I'm having quite a few things to do, I'm not gonna lie. Also show you title, that is Stoicism, how Marcus Aurelius keeps calm by Einzelgänger once again. And once again, I also cannot really show you a date. Anyway.
As Emperor of Rome, he was the most powerful man on the planet. Yet, as opposed to many of his successors and predecessors, Marcus Aurelius aimed to live virtuously on a consistent basis. He followed a philosophical school called Stoicism. Part of Stoic philosophy is the ability to keep a calm mind. As a matter of fact, the Stoics believe that humans in a state of flourishing have attained true happiness, which always goes together with inner peace. Needless to say, Marcus Aurelius was a busy man, carrying the burden of leadership over an empire and all the stress that comes from this. His work, Meditations, gives us an idea of how he coped.
Meditations, a book by Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor Marcus Aurelius, and basically, I would say a diary, a diary of sorts. Many ideas and many things that he had to deal with, and which is, I believe, the interesting thing about it, not in a way of, okay, I am doing this, that, and the other thing because I clearly know what the fuck I'm doing. No, not really. He's also been trying to figure things out as far as I know, and as far as I also can remember, and this makes it so much more interesting. Not seeing a person that one might think is already like just doing so well because I mean he is the emperor, but no, not really. He also had to figure certain things out and also had to grow, I would say.
Marcus Aurelius is famous for his negative visualization, which modern Stoics use as a meditative practice to start the day. Since I've got a separate video about this, I would like to focus on his lesser known teachings that we can use as practical advice for more tranquil lives. The first one is very simple. Do less. It's a no-brainer, right? In order to become calmer, we should simply do less. Now, it's important to mention that the Stoics hold productivity in high regard, as they see it as a virtue to be industrious. On the other hand, moderation is a virtue as well. So how exactly should we do less when we're supposed to be industrious? Marcus Aurelius observed that people do many things that aren't necessary. In the current age, we have access to almost unlimited entertainment, so it's very easy to get caught up in all kinds of non-productive activities. With doing less, Marcus Aurelius also meant talking less.
But I wouldn't say, though, that we should not have fun in life and we should, basically only do productive things and we only should work and we only should hustle because this is the lifestyle. I wouldn't also necessarily say that this is what the Stoics meant as well. And I certainly, besides the whole Stoic thing, I just do not believe in it. I once maybe have been in this frame of mind or in this worldview that, okay, I should only do this, I should only work, I should only whatever. But I think pretty soon one is going to realize that this is not necessarily what life is only about. Of course, when work is something that you really enjoy and really like doing, do it, period. But if it is only a drag, one should keep this moderation in mind. moderation of things that I like, moderation of things that I dislike. Keeping everything in moderation. And also something that kind of plays into that, the Stoics said, might have been Seneca, eating enough, basically, because when you're hungry, your mind is not working properly, if I remember that correctly. So when I'm not rested enough, when I haven't slept enough, when I have been doing too much work, I don't know if I can sustain that. Probably not really. And also, is the quality of the work gonna be so nicely? So what I want to point out and what I want to say is that I don't really think that the Stoics meant to only do productive things. Marcus just pointed out, people are doing a lot of things they do not necessarily have to do.
Many conversations are nonsensical, lead to nowhere, and only waste our time and energy. So doing less means doing the essential. And doing the essential not only means that we cut out the nonsense, but also that we work more intelligently and efficiently. A big advantage that we gain from this, besides tranquility, is that we can do less, better. Doing the essential consistently takes a mindful approach. I quote, "If you can eliminate it, you'll have more time and more tranquility. Ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? But we need to eliminate unnecessary assumptions as well, to eliminate the unnecessary actions that follow." End quote. A good habit that helps to stay focused on our daily endeavors is making a list of tasks the night before.
There are just so many different ways in which you could sort and categorize the things that you should be doing, maybe that you want to do, the things that are more important and whatnot. I don't know. There are many, many resources, and I would believe sorting things from most important to least important would make sense. Not only in just Stoic terms, but also just when you're thinking about it. Of course, the first thing that I want to do is something that is important to me, and maybe also in a sense of importance in the sense of basically I want to get this done because when I am done with it, I can focus on something else, which basically is some sort of the case for me with the podcast. When I know I haven't recorded yet, it is staying in my mind, and I have figured out over the years that recording first and then doing some other shit makes the most sense for me and how I deal with things and how I do things. So it really also is subjective. It really also is what works for you and what doesn't. So I do the recording first because I know that when I don't do it, it's going to piss me off the whole day long, and sometimes I kind of forget about it and I do not want to record in the evening. Firstly, and second of all, I don't want it to be in my mind all the time. I just want to have more space for other things. And when I'm done doing this, I can do other shit. And of course, I might just have a longer episode. I might have a shorter episode. These are things that I can control myself. These are things that I am in charge of. And so I can decide how much I can do of it and how much also I should be doing of it. So also something to consider, also something to keep in mind, even if it seems to be something quite sensical and or quite easy, like obviously duh.
This way, we premeditate on what we have to do when we get up in the morning, which has a calming effect on the mind. Because when we design our days beforehand, there's one less thing for the mind to worry about. 2. Short escapes. In another video.
And also you do not forget about things, things that might be incredibly important for you. I rarely then forget about those things when I have written them down on, I don't know, most often I just use some fucking piece of paper, like this shit. I posted that is actually pretty dusty. But yeah,
I've explained that the Stoics aren't too fond of traveling for recreational purposes and don't see it as a good way to seek tranquility. The reason for that is that wherever we go, we take ourselves with us. So the effects of traveling are only temporary. Thus, as soon as the novelty subsides, we'll be confronted with our own minds again. Marcus Aurelius was critical of people seeking refuge from daily worries by traveling or residing in quiet places like the mountains or beaches. In his mind, this was an idiotic thing to do, because why should we travel when we can get away by going within? Nowhere you go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul, he said. There's nothing wrong with changing scenery once in a while to facilitate our mental retreats, as long as we keep these escapes basic and brief. What Marcus Aurelius proposed reminds me a lot of meditation, or perhaps moments of reflection and contemplation in order to renew ourselves so we can calmly proceed our daily lives. He gave us 2 things to ponder over if we choose to briefly retreat in our minds. I quote, 1. That things have no hold on the soul. They stand there unmoving, outside it. Disturbance comes only from within, from our own perceptions. And 2. That everything you see will soon alter and cease to exist. Think of how many changes you have already seen. The world is nothing but change. Our life is only perception. End quote. Which brings us to the next piece of advice, which is remembering that all shall pass. The Stoics are infamous for remembering the frightening reality of life, that it's going to end. Memento mori means the remembrance of death, which is the ultimate acceptance that the changing...
Remember you will die, I think. So yes, indeed, the remembrance of death. Realizing, and by the way, the painting in the background, and there are many, many more very interesting and very cool paintings on that school, should be checked out. You know, there are certain symbols, like, you know, of course, the skull, but also the, what is this called? Sand, whatever. I don't know what it is. And also flowers, because flowers also, with time, they shrink. Yes, let's just call it shrink. They get uglier by time passing. So really interesting reading about it. I mean, there are just, you know, probably a Wikipedia article that, you know, should be quite good. First of all, and second of all, relatively long, so you might check it out.
The nature of the universe also means the decay and vanishing of ourselves. Marcus Aurelius tells us to keep in mind how fast things pass us by. We can be immersed in something in one moment, and in the next moment it could be something totally different. Trends come and go in the blink of an eye. And when we look at the history of this planet, human life is just a tiny little hiccup in this cosmic evolution. The fact that everything is in flux could be a source of anxiety, because nothing is stable, and eventually we will be separated from our possessions and loved ones. But it can be a source of calm as well. The realization that everything is temporary means that there is no point in clinging to good times and being strongly averse to bad times. Happiness is a relative thing. Even in prison, there are good and bad days. And even millionaires experience joy and suffering. This means that our inner world, thus the way we perceive our life situation and how we react to that, is also in flux. Moreover, we can influence how we react to change. So why should destiny concern us so much? As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the infinity of past and future gapes before us, a chasm whose depths we cannot see, so it would take an idiot to feel self-importance or distress, or any indignation either, as if the things that irritate us lasted. Thank you for watching.
Everything is temporary. There's also something the Stoics say, which is giving things back. So, as when somebody dies, for example, giving back the person, I might actually be able to find something on that, because I also thought that this is quite an interesting concept. Stoicism, giving back. Quite an interesting... the Stoic ideal, I just found something completely different. The Stoic ideal for giving to people that we know is that we should give in order to help them be better people and live better lives. In Seneca's words, whoever believes that giving is an easy metas ers. What? That giving is an easy. Charity and giving back. Death. If death is part of nature's will, the Stoics argued it makes no more sense to fear it than it does to fear the falling of leaves in autumn or new growth in spring. In a similar vein, the Stoics viewed death as a precondition for life, pointing out that life without deaths is simply impossible. It is what it is. To have light, we need to have dark. It's all about contrast. Do not act as if you are going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you while you live, or while it is in your power. Be good. Meditations, well, I don't fucking know, something with 17. Death does not concern us because as long as we exist, death is not here. And when it does come, we no longer exist. Which was also quite interesting for me as I've read it the first time, because I thought, well, yeah, I don't really get death when I am dead. Like, I'm probably not going to experience it. And I mean, the moments before death, I probably have so much adrenaline in my body that I, first of all, I think wouldn't necessarily feel anything. And yeah, period. Death smiles at us all, but all you man can do is smile back. I'm actually not quite finding what I have been searching for. Just this idea of giving back. Not in terms of being nice to somebody, but, you know, when you lose something, you're just giving it back to the original owner, back to the world, back to nature. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Maybe you should cry about it. This is actually a really good one. Maybe you should cry about it. Maybe you should just let it out and deal with it in that way. I think that there is a reason why people can indeed cry. This is going to be the last one. Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within your control and some things are not. And with that being said, I'm hopefully going to see you the next time. So, bye-bye. And now we also have to wait, because when I do not wait, the last few words are not going to be in the video. As well as this probably, so I don't know how much of it is going to be in the video then, nor on the podcast. This is kind of the most fucked up way or thing about live streaming that I don't know, you know, sometimes things just, you know, go away. But it is what it is.